It's time for a look at the Premier League standings going into week 2. Obviously, with just 1 week under our belt, things haven't developed too much, so this will be brief. First, if you are playing in a head-to-head fantasy Premier League and want to analyze your own league, check out the Playoff Computer app on the Play Store. It is what I'll be using here as the base for this analysis. Begin with the title race. Now again, we're just 1 week into the season, so these numbers are going to be almost wild guesses until some trends make themselves known. But to give you an idea of what we'll be going over each update, here's what the app spits out, and I'll give a quick explanation. First, we have an estimate of how many points will be needed to have even the slightest of hope that everything else somehow goes right for a team to dream about a title. And we're starting out with that number being 60 points. Now, mathematically speaking and hypothetically speaking, every game for the rest of the season could end up being a draw, other than the teams that won last week lose in the rematch, and everyone ends up at 38 points. Obviously, that is a practical impossibility. Consider this 60-point number like one notch up from an impossibility, like winning the lottery while finding out you've inherited $100 million at the same time. Possible, but not too likely. The next step up is the points the computer says would give a team at least a halfway realistic chance if a lot of other things went their way as far as what happens with the other teams. And that number after 1 whole week is 72. The last number is what, mathematically speaking, the computer projects will be the amount of points needed to be champion. And that number begins with 80 points. And again, just 1 week in. These numbers will be very fluid for a while as the good teams continue to be good and the bad teams continue to be bad. But it's what we got at the moment. Next, we'll do a quick rundown of who is in the title race. Once things get going, we'll limit this to the 5 or so teams in serious contention. For now, since we have 8 teams tied with 1 win, we'll zip through each of them. As the season progresses, we'll dig a bit deeper as needed. Before the season began, each team obviously had a 1 in 20 mathematical chance to win the title, or 5%. Those that won the first game boosted that all the way up to 6%. So Brighton, which beat Everton, is up first. They have Manchester United and Arsenal up next to see how quickly they return to earth. Arsenal beat the Wolves and gets Aston Villa next before the match with Brighton. Liverpool won as expected over Ipswich. They get Brentford and Manchester United next. League favorite Manchester City beat Chelsea and has good opportunity to get off to a strong start with Ipswich and West Ham upcoming. Aston Villa gets a big game against Arsenal before Leicester. Brentford playing with the big boys for at least 1 week after beating Crystal Palace. Liverpool up next before a more friendly game at home against Southampton. Manchester United won as expected and now gets Brighton and Liverpool. Newcastle United beat Southampton. They get Bournemouth and the Spurs next. Moving on to the race for safety. As with the title race, we're going to have 3 numbers from the computer. The dream a little dream number is around 30. The guesstimate from the computer for something that would give a realistic chance is 39. With the projection for what will actually be needed to be safe is 45. Again, very fluid numbers until we get at least a few weeks into it. For the teams in trouble, we'll be going in reverse order. Right now, with just the 1 game, all 8 that lost are in equal amounts of trouble. so don't take this order here personally. Everton will get a chance to bounce back against the Spurs and Bournemouth. All the teams that lost have their odds to win the title down to 3% and their odds to reach safety at 81%. Wolves will now get to play an angry Chelsea team. Ipswich faces Manchester City, so probably has to wait to get their first win. Chelsea in an unfamiliar position near the bottom of the table, but gets the Wolves, Crystal Palace, and Bournemouth to get back on track. Southampton will look to get their first win against Nottingham Forest. Fulham has a decent chance the next few games to pick up some wins. West Ham will play Crystal Palace before hosting Manchester City. And after that game against West Ham, Crystal Palace will play Chelsea. That's it for now. Again, as things progress, we'll be a little less brief and dig deeper into each team's chances as well as the numbers. Until then, enjoy your day.